Welcome. Can anyone hear me?
I can
hear
hear
you
you.
just
fine, Jim.
All right. Good to see you all. We'll wait a few more minutes here.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hold on, I'm trying to. I can see you, but I don't think you can see me.
Well, I may not. Actually, the screen I'm looking at is a little far away. My eyes are too old to see the small pictures, but I can hear you.
All right, good.
Come on in, everybody. Come on in. We're letting everyone in. We'll get the meeting started here shortly. How are you all doing?
Good. It's cold
So
over
good.
here.
What's that?
It's cold over here in San Antonio.
It is cold in San Antonio.
Yeah, 79 degrees.
Ooh. That's cold, huh?
That's cold for us.
Well, we're in the balmy, probably 60 degrees today. It got cold on us. We're having all four seasons this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
All right. How are we doing over there, Matt? We'll introduce Matt to you here in a little bit, our recent employee to join the team of Titan Trains. He's doing all of the marketing and production like this today. He's helped putting it on. So he's a great help. Also, he's finishing up the catalog finally, which we'll start sending out. So we'll get going here. Glad y'all could join us for the SD70ACe reveal. Finally, it's here. We've been working on it a long time, trying to perfect it. We're very pleased with it and hope you all are also. So a few more minutes and we'll get going.
Awesome, awesome.
So how are we at the rest of the country?
It's pretty good out here in California. Nice and sunny, but it's kind of chilly sometimes.
Yeah.
In the
Awesome.
50s, in the 50s north of Seattle.
All right.
In fact, I'm gonna head down to Arizona on Friday.
Well, hopefully it's warm there. Should be.
Yeah,
Cold and wet in Minnesota.
Ooh.
I'm hoping, Jim, I could find somebody from Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis. I saw that tank car on live stream. I really want it, but to get it here, I don't know how to get it over here.
What's that again? A tank car from in Indiana?
Yeah, and on live stream, there's a tank car that black tank car, but I think it's over there in your neck of the woods. But I wouldn't have any clue as to who would be coming over here close to Texas or Kansas City, Missouri.
I'm heading to Heston, Indiana this weekend, this Saturday, or to LaPorte at the Heston. Just FYI. All right, we'll give it another minute here for everyone to join in. Then we'll start the SD70ACe reveal.
Hey, I got a question for the guys online. How did they get their photos? Like Bill's got the Burlington Northern, Mark's got locomotives behind him, Ryan's got mountains. How'd they do that?
There's an option for when you start zoning into Zoom to go into your preferences or profile and you can pick your background image.
Yeah, you can load in pictures that you've taken. Those pictures are from the Utah Museum over in, what is that, Ogden, Utah. They got a centennial out there. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Jim, it's Mike in Southern Ontario with the new TT 1500. It's 35 degrees here on the Fahrenheit scale.
Oh, so it's warming up there, huh?
Yeah, we had snow overnight and it's going to go down below freezing tonight.
I'll take my weather, but it sounds like it's warming up there.
How you doing, Jim? This is Miles from LALS.
Hello, Miles.
78 degrees here.
Well,
78 here in Texas.
There you go.
Well, good to be in Texas and LA.
Jim, is this reveal the train that we've been waiting for in LALS?
Well, everyone's been waiting for it.
Is this belongs to one of our members?
This one belongs to J.R. Redding out of Texas, who's on here.
Ah, okay, great.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he signed up to get the first one. Now, while we have others in production right now, this is the first one that we've been getting ready to reveal. And this one's
can hardly
gone
wait.
through test and design and everything.
That's good.
And all of the other ones will be just like this. So I think without further ado, we're going to start the Titan Trains Titan Talks today, Wednesday, April 27th, 2022, here in beautiful downtown Boonsville, Virginia, USA. We're just south of Roanoke, Virginia a little bit, and we welcome anyone to come see us and tour our factory and showroom. Right now, we're coming from our new showroom area, which has a variety of train cars and locomotives to see. A lot of them are due to go out the door, but it gives you something to look at, and some of it is in stock inventory that can be purchased. While we're making constantly train cars and locomotives in the plant right beside us here. On the average, we're shipping out a crate a day now of some kind of train car item or locomotive. And we feel that's pretty good. So it's at least a crate a day on the average. Now on the SD70, this has been a project that we've been working on for years, and finally it's here. One of our mascots, Nyla, just walked through the picture. She helped. So here we go. I'm going to start to unveil it, and we'll talk about it some, and then show you some more pictures. Da 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 da. If we don't get snagged up here.
Wow.
Try
Wow.
not to be too much like a burlesque show.
Oh, man.
All right,
Wow.
JR, what do you think?
I love it. I love it. I know a lot of people are wondering why I didn't do the 1943 and we did the 1970. Well, that's my birth year, and April 30th is my birthday. So that's one of the significant things that we changed on it. The only thing actually.
Hold on, we're trying to get things out of the way here without taking up the cords. All right. Well, here it is, the SD70ACe. We're showing the one side here. We'll walk the camera around and show you the other side. Then we'll take the body off and show you the guts. 1 second here and we'll get going. All right. Any questions so far?
Looks nice.
The
Yeah, that
locomotive is
beautiful.
a little bit bigger than the -9, a little bit longer, a little bit heavier. It has plenty of room for us to pack in all the good stuff that we like to put in our locomotives, which come pretty standard.
How
It has
heavy is
a
it?
easy removable hatch back here, so you can get to the electronics and other items underneath the hood without taking the whole body off.
What is the controller on this one, Jim?
This one has a wireless control. If one of you can go get it for me. But this is the wireless control version. It also has a dash panel with gauges.
Wow.
All right, now I'm going to try to take the camera around.
So how heavy is it?
It's about 900 pounds.
That's a lot of weight.
200 pounds more than mine.
It should be a pretty good puller. All right, I'll try to maneuver the camera here. I mean, we're into train making, not a film studio production. You can see the trucks. We did spend a lot of time on the trucks. Hopefully everyone likes them.
Jim, is the center wheel blind?
No, it does have, it is flanged. Because this locomotive is actually very similar to the Dash 9, it tracks just like the Dash 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I was hoping to see, the lights on the back. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's nice. Well,
Awesome paint job.
So you can see a Dash 9 in the background. It's actually just a little bit longer, a little bit heavier. This is the largest locomotive in our fleet now.
What is the size of the gas tank?
We have a dual gas tank on this. We have our standard 2.5 gallon tank, along with an additional 2.5 gallon tank.
That's awesome, 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 awesome.
Because on this, we have the room where we can do that.
That's excellent.
All
That's
right. Mhm.
yeah,
What's that?
that's
All right.
nice looking.
Thank you. We can show the trucks a little bit more.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, are those brake cylinders on those trucks, are those solid?
Yes, they're just dummy brake cylinders because the hydraulics on the
Right.
locomotive do all the work.
Okay, and they're aluminum, right?
And then there are train brakes, the train brake option, which is for the cars behind the locomotive, which is air or vacuum.
Got it.
But the hydraulics for the locomotive and for most trains does all the braking work.
Mm-hmm.
And this is available to, like all of our other locomotives, you can put a slug behind it. Multiple powered slugs, up to 2 other multiple powered slugs. It's been done.
Wow.
All right, now we're going to set the camera down and take the body off and show you the guts of it. How about that?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and take the body off. This takes, while the body's a little bit bigger, 2 stout guys can take it off. It just lifts straight off after you unplug a thing or two, which we've already done. All right, thank you.
Boy, that thing is long.
It
Yeah.
looks it. It's actually only about I think it's less than 6 inches longer than the Dash 9. But the way everything presents itself, it does have a much bigger presence.
I thought my Dash 9 was long.
And part of just getting a little bit extra room in the body and the length of the locomotive and the body allows for more stuff inside. So I'll start pointing things out to you. Let's see here. As usual, we have our 16 horsepower Briggs & Stratton gas engine with our custom made that we make, specially designed exhaust system and muffler, which quiets down the locomotive quite a bit, so it's a low hum. It's definitely not like standing beside a lawnmower. We have our hydrostatic hydraulic pump, one that we've been using now for about 12 or 13 years, and it's proven itself. In fact, like I've said, it's run all over the country and parts of the world. It's run multiple slugs. It's even someone uses my design on park trains on 15-inch gauge equipment using this pump. So it's a well-proven pump. Here is one of the auxiliary gas tank, while the other gas tank is here, all of our standard hydraulic oil tank right here. From here back, this is our standard setup of electronics and tanks, featuring our new wiring system where we have a fuse panel, automotive style fuse panel with fuses and relays, and it's covered, protected from the weather. This is our the controller for the wireless control. If it gets one, there's a spot for it. There's a cooling fan for the hydraulic oil cooler, which is right here is the hydraulic oil cooler. So we're constantly cooling the hydraulic oil as we go. So it runs at a good temperature regardless of the load. Remember that a Titan Trains gas-powered hydraulic locomotive can pull 100% of the time. It is a unique feature. You can work this thing to death, and it's designed to do that. So we welcome you to challenge us. It's been known to pull big trains. We have a sound system on it with 4 speakers. We've gone to a slightly different system where we have a directional control valve. We've gone back to that, where we have a forward, neutral, reverse switch on the control, on the wireless control or tethered control. Also, these units can be purchased with the manual control push-pull lever, but there is a button for forward, neutral, or reverse. When it's in neutral, the hydraulic parking brakes come on. Or you can go in forward or neutral, and you have a full control, full sweep of the knob. Very smooth control, very positive control, and it stops positively in the neutral position. We have our 40 amp automotive alternator attached to the motor. So there's always plenty of 12 volt power powering all the functions that this has, from electronics for the wireless to the oil cooler fans, to horns, lights, all the functions, the brake pump, and the brake pump, which by the way is right here. If it's air or even vacuum, it would be right here. Another feature that we're starting to add on these is a handy dandy Allen wrench, so you can take the body bolts off to lift it off. That's something new we've started. It's always on board of the locomotive, so you never have to search for a Allen wrench to take out the 2 to 4 body bolts to raise the body. Of course, we have our 12 volt battery. Another thing unique to Titan Trains is our gas fill, where you take the top lid off of the body like I showed before, and dip your hose into the gas can after you take the cap off, and you turn on the fuel pump. Automatically fills both tanks and shuts off automatically, so you're not pouring gas on your beautiful, wonderful locomotive. Any questions so far?
Yes, Jim, on the amplifier for the audio, was it the SCAR or which one? Did we put the SCAR?
The amp is a SCAR amp on this one.
Awesome, awesome.
Mhm.
Okay.
Also, as all of our units now, they all have a drift valve feature, which is the big red knob in the rear that you pull out. They also have a lock on it, so it won't come out while you're operating. Any other questions so far? In a moment, I'll take the camera around to this side.
Alternator, if we wanted, I know it's a 40 amp, but are we ever able to upgrade it to more amps?
Well, the whole system and the wiring and everything's not designed to go more than that.
Okay.
I mean, that's quite a load. 40 amps, up to 40 amps of 12 volt power is a lot of power.
Okay.
And anything beyond that, it needs to have some auxiliary besides the locomotive. All right, now let's, I'm gonna take the camera around to this side.
Hey, Jim, did you say that there was a compressor in this body?
There is an air compressor. I'll show you that a little bit more here.
Okay.
Jim, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You said when you go to neutral, it applies brakes. Is that going to be like emergency brakes or gently applying them?
Well, when you go into neutral on this, it's assumed that the train and the locomotive is stopped. Okay.
Okay.
And then it has a hydraulic brake. If you switch it to neutral, while you're in motion, you have, it will lock up everything and you will stop instantly, okay?
Thank you.
Mhm. So it's sort of like your automobile. It's made to, you know, you put it in park once you're stopped, kind of thing.
Understand.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And you can see some of our electronics over here, our ditch light circuit. We use old-fashioned components for our ditch light flasher system, things that are generally always readily available, things that we understand, like relays and timers. It's not a simple little circuit board card, which is good because that sort of thing's hard to come by these days. And shown around here. And then we're showing the auxiliary, the bell, the optional bell.
What's the black box on the back?
The black box is the amp for the sound system.
Oh, okay.
And let's not forget, when you get a Titan Trains locomotive, you get the little maintenance bucket to go with it. It comes with a hat and a mug and things to clean your nice new locomotive and a few other little goodies.
I have to get me one of those since it didn't come with it when I first ordered mine a long time ago.
Well, we'll be glad to try to take care of you. If you order a new locomotive now, you get it for sure.
Yeah, I wore out my other cap already.
Jim, can you zoom in on that compressor?
Well, the compressor right here, that's the standard compressor we use for most all applications, which is adequate for most all of the straight air brake. It's adequate for all of the straight air brake situations, you know, for most of our customers. In your case, you all use the automatic air system, and a little bigger compressor helps.
Right.
But it's basically the same Vi-Air brand, just a little bit bigger. This is the actuator that controls the stroke for the hydrostatic hydraulic pump.
Huh.
Okay. Basically, you control the speed and stopping through the actuator, whether it's manual control where you won't have an actuator, but if you have the wireless or the wired control, you have an actuator which is stroking the arm. That controls the speed and power of the pump going to the wheels. Also, the amount of engine RPMs gives you additional speed once you have maxed out on the stroke of your actuator or manual lever.
Well, and what is that purple container in the middle there, right near your pump?
This,
Yeah, what is that?
that's the directional control valve.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That's how we go to forward or reverse, or in neutral, it locks up the hydraulics so that the train does not roll.
Okay.
And then this right there is our RPM motor, the same RPM motor that we've used on most all of our locomotives. There's a few that it doesn't go on, but that's for the engine RPM control where you flip a switch and it goes, you raise or lower your engine RPMs.
Gotcha.
And this, by the way, is the blower motor for the air horns. It's tucked away there. It is in a specific location. Everything that we do, there is a reason. Kind of just, I like to keep it in mind or tell people everything we do, there's a reason. For instance, the reason the blower motor for the air horn is there, it's far away from the electronics, which keeps the electronic noise of this far away from the electronics. So there's no interference. Typical things like that, things we've learned throughout the years and integrated into the system and made them standard. Any other questions or any questions? Bring them on.
Did I-
You coming to Train Mountain, Jim?
Yes, sir. I'll be at Train Mountain, myself and Matt. We'll be at Train Mountain. We'll be there roughly I think, Wednesday through Saturday. We don't have the opportunity to be there the whole time, but we'll be there for show and tell of a lot of customers' equipment who will be out there. Fortunately, we've gotten to the position where our equipment is spread out all over the country. And what we can do now is go on location and talk to people, explain things, have a presence, listen to the questions, listen to ideas, and also explain our product a lot without having to bring a truckload of stuff out. Because we do spend our time back here at the plant making stuff and shipping trains Monday through Friday, basically. We're constantly rolling out the trains, but it does take a big effort to do it right. And so it's intense making trains and getting it right and getting them out the door. So I don't have as much time as I used to go to train meets, but I do relish going to train meets where I can talk to people and see people. I just can't bring a lot of stuff nowadays, but we'll be there.
And we'll see you there too.
Good, great. Hope we'd see a lot of you there.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jim,
All
could
right.
you show a little bit of the control that goes with this locomotive?
Sure. I'll bring that a little bit more forward to you. If you can bring the dash panel for this. All right, here you go with the control. So basically, what you do is you would turn on the control, turn on the ignition. You can now start the locomotive. You make sure the locomotive is in neutral and that your speed control is down to slow or basically off, okay? Also make sure the emergency stop is pulled out. Now you're ready to start the locomotive. Once the locomotive is warmed up, you can start it remotely on the remote control here. Once it's going, you can put it into forward and you have control here. Full speed control. You have engine RPM control here where you can raise or lower the engine RPMs. Horn, bell, ditch lights, high beam and low beam headlights, or I should say dim headlights, so that you're not blinding someone when you're approaching the station or another train. In an emergency, you can hit the emergency stop, you push it in, the locomotive dies on the spot and everything jerks to a halt, but it stops it right away. Another feature of the wireless control is if it loses range, and this does have a lot of range, and I'm talking about hundreds of feet, it is line of sight though. You have to be pointing this towards the locomotive, but if it does go out of range or lose signal, it shuts down immediately. The locomotive stops until you go back to the locomotive and turn off the ignition, turn off the remote, and then turn everything back on and restart and get going. It's a safety feature. Anything
Jim,
else you
you
want to
talked-
see on it there, Perry?
When you use the emergency stop or you get out of range, that shuts off the Briggs and Stratton engine.
Well, it shuts down all of the components, all the electronics, so that the actuator relaxes and the mechanical return spring on the pump pulls the pump back to neutral. In many cases now, the motor also stops, but in some of the locomotives that we've done, the motor keeps running even though the locomotive is stopped and the hydraulics are off.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Jim,
Mhm.
on the controller, what did we take off any buttons off that one or switches compared to my -9?
It's pretty similar. The difference in what we do now is the forward, neutral, and reverse.
Right.
Okay. Otherwise, all the functions that were there are still there. We have maxed out the amount of functions we can use on this wireless system without
Okay.
upgrading to a more expensive system.
Okay.
Jim, how do you control the compressor air?
For the straight air brake system here, you simply turn on the pump. It instantly pumps up the brakes on the train very quickly. When you're back to neutral, the brake pressure remains, and then you pull it down to release. And generally you have a gauge where you can look at it where you can pump up a little bit or release. And you can
I'm talking about auto air, I guess.
on the auto air.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the same switch. We have to do many different things to the system inside the locomotive to accommodate auto air.
Okay, so that's what we would have to order directly.
What's that? I'm sorry?
That's what we would have to order to comply with what we do at LALS.
Right, you would have to ask for an auto air option
Okay.
on the locomotive, which costs a little bit more than our regular straight air system.
Okay.
Mhm. Any other questions?
So Jim, this
Yes,
is
sir.
Noel Dalman. Do you have a sample of your dash gauge control panel, whatever?
Of the dash panel? Yes. we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Brought that in. Here we go. Thank you. All right, here's the dash panel.
Okay.
Okay, and usually we make it so that, we can Velcro the wireless control or the tethered wired control box onto it.
Okay.
But you have a speedometer that also has an odometer. All of this is in scale miles, RPM gauge, which also has an hour meter, the brake line pressure for the straight air brakes, fuel gauge, voltmeter to make sure everything's charging up correctly from the 40 amp alternator, and then the hydraulic oil temperature gauge. So it shows you the operating of the hydraulic oil temperature, which generally always stays fine. This is a nice option if you like gauges. It shows you what's going on. It gives you a good range of the speed so you can understand the speed or tell people keep it at a certain speed, and also the engine RPM.
Mhm. Okay. So if you don't have the wireless control, so if you don't have the wireless control, so your speed control on that train will be on the control gauge backside.
Well, if you have the speed control and all of the controls, if you have the wireless, they're in the control box. If you have the tethered wired control that you still hold in your hand, but has a wire to the locomotive, all of the functions are there. If you have a manual control locomotive with a push-pull lever, then there's a little box generally on that lever that has the button functions.
Okay. Thank you.
Your wireless locomotives, are those addressable?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear real well. What's that?
On a wireless locomotive,
Uh-huh.
if you have two locomotives on the same railroad, are those each individually addressable?
Okay. The way our wireless control works is they're all individual. One control cannot control more than one locomotive, and it cannot interfere with another locomotive. The frequency is the same frequency, but what they do is they have a code, and there's a constant handshake back and forth between the locomotive and the handheld transmitter and it's talking many times a second. And it's constantly, they're both looking for just their code, even though there's other locomotives out there that might be hearing that signal, but it can't interfere with it because it's not the same code. It's not the same key to get into the electronics. So one controller controls one locomotive. It's not real practical to get one controller to operate two locomotives because you still have to match the engine RPM exactly, the pump stroke and speed exactly. So we just mainly do one control, one locomotive. For 2 or 3 locomotives, that's where we advise to have a slug operation. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
All right.
I just don't want to go to Train Mountain and see you guys doing a cornfield meet somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a very good question in that regards. But these controls cannot overlap under any circumstances. The worst that can happen is that if you had 50 of these locomotives all concentrated in the same yard space, what they might do is get confused, and confusion shuts them down. Confusion does not cause them to do anything. They will just stop working because we have a 2-second delay of the signal going back and forth on the locomotive. And if it spends too much time thinking about, am I getting the right signal, it shuts down. So there is a lot of fail-safe built into these controls. These are very industrial, specifically designed controls, which also means they're expensive, but they are designed to really work in the real world. They are by no means anywhere near an RC model airplane or car control. They're pretty sophisticated in their system.
Hey, Jim.
Yes, sir.
On the dash panel, and I know you're probably going to fret about this, but knowing the times are nowadays, is there a 12-volt going to it where we could put a cell phone charger on it on the dashboard?
That's not something we've done yet. On occasion, I wake up thinking that is something we'll do one day or need to do. We haven't integrated it into the design yet.
Okay.
But it is something that probably could be, it could be. We try to standardize a lot of what we do just because there's so many things we do. And once we get it integrated and designed in, we try to do that on everything.
Okay. Just thinking.
Oh yeah, it's appropriate in today's world. Having a little charger or a USB port on the dash panel or somewhere on the locomotive. I agree.
Yeah, it's a really good question because we're going to start to use sometime this year a UPS system for tracking the trains.
Okay.
And that would require a cell phone mounted on the control panel, as you said, or something like that. But we're working on it at LALS right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sort of information will probably, that along with JR will probably advance us to, it's something we'll integrate into the locomotive sooner rather than later. It's feedback like that helps us.
Hey, Jim, this is Bill. The external power outlet that we put on my SD45 works really well.
Okay.
I ran power through all the cars back to my caboose with a flashing red light on the end. And then also ran a separate power up into my seat where I have a controller that has a USB connection and cigarette lighter and all that, just for the same purposes what these guys are asking about. So that worked out really well. So.
Okay, well, thank you. Everybody, this is Bill Karen. He got the new SD45 that we did. We actually did him an SD45 and we liked it so much, and I liked it so much, we added it to the product line. And he got an auxiliary 12-volt plug put on the rear pilot of his locomotive that he could plug into for powering what he wanted to on his train behind the locomotive. That is something he provided it and we installed it.
Okay, what was it, like the connector like for a golf cart, or was it something smaller, the battery connection?
It was a 2-prong automotive type connector. It's just got a red and black wire. I think they call it like an SAS or something like that connector.
Yeah.
And I just have it, it's a flush mounted plug that sits right on the back of the locomotive. And then I ordered a bunch of wires that have the plug on either end. And basically just string it through the cars, each car. So when you connect the cars together, you couple them, put the chains on, and then plug in the electric and the brakes. So it's all kind of done together. And we had it out over the weekend and worked out really well.
Great.
We're good. All right.
Jim, I got a question real quick.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? This is Scott in Texas.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing you guys finish all the stuff the awesome stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah,
Is the
good to-
sound system the same in the new engine versus the Dash 9?
Yes, the sound system in all of our locomotives is the same.
Okay.
I will say we are having a problem getting the Phoenix sound card that we've always used. And this has been an ongoing problem. Right now, there's still some supply. We're looking at new systems, but the Phoenix sound system, the people that make it just really aren't supplying them. We kind of don't know what's happened to them, but it's the premium system, but we still are getting supplies of them. So how long we can get supplies is up in the air, but we do have ourselves covered for most all of the orders that we have now throughout, quite a while. So you're covered, Scott.
It looks great. The new engine looks awesome.
Well, thank you.
Excellent.
Scott's waiting for a train set for where he is in Texas for an awesome train set. He will actually have a Dash 9 and 2 powered slugs along with a large train. So he's getting an awesome train himself.
Where is Scott going to be? Where about is Scott in Texas?
So I'm in North Texas. We actually are building a track up in Van Alstyne that my brother and I are doing. It's probably 20 minutes north of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Okay. I'm always skipping out early because I have to be with my wife at work on Saturday. So I'm never meeting too many people because I'm already gone. That's the sad part for my part. Jim.
Yes.
Couple of questions. The hydraulics that are going to mount for the slug, are those on there yet, or is it a kit or?
The particular ones for you aren't on here because we didn't want to show them as the standard of what we're doing.
Okay.
But it will be. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'll set you up with probably, it sounds like a cuss word, but when do you think I can get it?
Well, it's real close. We're about ready to wrap yours up and send it. We do want to do a little more tweaking and a little more testing, just finalizing, but we're within a couple of weeks probably.
Yeah, because I've got, I think, 2 more meets before everybody goes down. I got Nacogdoches on the 10th, and then I've got Howes on the 26th of May, and I'm hoping I can make it so I can show this baby off. And I want to go to Train Mountain, so I'm trying to get all that figured out if I can.
Well, we're anxious for you to have it too. We want it out there promoting us, but we also go to extra effort to make sure it's right before it gets out there, that there are no problems of any kind that we didn't anticipate or didn't see or didn't find during the extensive testing.
Okay, and the other 2 questions, the model that I have, it's the O scale. It's got the top, are they air conditioner units or will you be able to make those?
That could be, that's an additional option that we could probably, possibly add on. It's not part of the standard, but it is an option we could probably add on and we could talk to you about.
Okay. I think that's really about my questions, other than I'm glad I didn't drive out there and try to be there, because I would have brought it back or tried to at least. So,
well, I mean, we want everything to be just right. Right is better than getting it done and getting it out the door. Eventually, it'll get there.
Yeah. Well, another question is, how are we in production on the other 2 items that I ordered?
Well, they're good, but they also have a similar paint scheme, camouflage paint scheme, which is, by the way, the camouflage paint scheme on this locomotive that you saw is all paint mask and paint. There is no decal graphics. It's the real thing. So it's very tedious and very time consuming, but really looks great as an end result. So it's in the booth.
Okay.
Anything
I
else?
got kind of a dumb question. Do you have to take the whole hood off in order to fuel it, or is that done just through a hatch?
That's done through the hatch that I removed earlier.
Okay,
Where I pulled off the hatch here on the body, that has access to all these components and the fuel fill. So, which is pretty standard on all of our locomotives. We have an access hatch through the top or the fan grill housings removed so you can pull the fuel hose out and fill up the locomotive easily. We've made it so there's very few instances where you have to take the body off. We also have a charge cable that's available on this, where we have a plug that's on the locomotive, and then we have a charge cable that comes with the locomotive that you can jumpstart your train or charge the battery. I'm all tangled up here, but it plugs into here. Again, accessible through the removable hatch here on the rear. So you don't have to take the body off. We recommend taking the body off once or twice a year just to look around and look for things. But otherwise, or also when you change the oil, engine oil. But really after that, there's very little need to take the body off. We've tried to make it, anything that you need to get to, we've tried to make it accessible through the hatch.
that's true on the SW1500 that I'm getting?
Uh-huh. Well,
Okay.
yeah, there's a hatch on your locomotive up at the front that removes the grill work, and that has access to all these things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that access is really a good idea. I've made use of it.
Good, good. Thank you for saying so.
So
So
I got a
Jim-
question. I noticed on the new 45 that you had the whole rear section come off
Yes.
to do whatever, not just the fan.
Uh-huh.
Is that,
Right.
is that new way of doing it?
Yes, that is new. When we integrated and upgraded to our fuse control panel, automotive style, we needed more access for people to get to that. So on all of the locomotives now that have that, which is most of them, there's a much larger hatch that comes off, just like we did on this locomotive. In fact, we can go ahead and put the body back on this one. But so yeah, we've tried to make it much more accessible into that section. Here, we're going to put the body back on.
So I have a question, Jim.
Yes.
What's the actual length of that engine now?
The actual length?
Yes.
I think it's 121 inches.
Okay.
The information for this is now up on the website. The website's been refreshed with pictures and
Okay.
information and the sales sheet. Okay. Thank you.
So Jim, that's like 3 inches longer than the Dash 9? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's correct. It looks a lot longer, but it's not that much longer. And here's the access hatch. So we can get to the fuel line and to the fuse panel and look around the body pretty well. Also, we have a lot of access for the wireless control signals to come and go out of the locomotive.
Uh-huh.
Does my SW1500 come with that charger plug?
Does it come with what? I'm sorry?
Charger plug? For
Oh, yeah,
charging the
yes,
back?
it does have the charging plug. Yes, sir. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Bob, in St. Louis, when you say a large train, how many 800-pound cars will this locomotive pull?
Well, it's a good question. It all depends on the grade and conditions, but I can tell you that 1-9 on a flat track in Florida got 100 train cars started, and then there was about 15 people on the train, got it started and started pulling it. So there is a lot of pulling power. with one locomotive. But we have customers that have tracks where they have severe grades from, 3% is a steep grade for a railroad. Some of these have been 6 and 10% grades.
Wow.
Which does reduce what you can pull up that by a substantial amount, but these locomotives did perform pretty well. But given, the average train and the average layout, these will outpull most anything on there.
Was that a 16 horsepower motor?
Yes, sir. It does have a 16 horsepower gas engine, but the real power comes from the hydrostatic hydraulic drive. The engine, the gas engine is barely working in most cases. And it's even working at lower RPMs, still with a lot of pulling power on the locomotive.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, anything else?
Beautiful train, Jim.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you all joining us today for the final reveal of the SD70ACe that we've developed and are now making. And JR has patiently been waiting, and he's the wait is not much more, and he'll be getting his, which you see right here. And we're making more for the other customers who some of you are on here, who will be getting one here in the near future. Along with other trains that we're making. We're constantly making trains. It's a fun place to come to see. We invite all of you to come see us here at Titan Trains and see our factory and the process and see trains being made. It's a fun day when you can do that.
Jim?
Yes, sir.
I want to tell congratulations to JR, and I hope to see him there at Ron's.
Like this see where it runs?
See him at Ron Canfield's.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll try to get it there.
Hey,
I hope
Jim,
so.
Uh-huh.
I got a question for JR. I'm just wondering, what do you use to haul that around in?
Are you there, JR?
I think you're muted.
Okay, I'm here. Yeah, I had bought a 16-foot trailer. It was too pretty. I kept scratching the inside and outside. I went back to a 20-foot gooseneck, enclosed gooseneck, and the ones that are made out of steel, like WW, they're not even making them right now. So I bought a used one and put new wheels, made sure the hubs are greased, and looks bad, but you know what? I can beat it up and I can haul my trains. And right now, I got the Northern, I got the -9, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Let's see. I got like 16 cars in it as well. And
Oh, that's pretty
packed in there.
What do you pull that with?
I got an F350 dually.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. One thing I want to do is introduce Matt here. Here's Matt that I talked about earlier. Matt King, he's one of the newer members here. Say hello, Matt.
Hello, nice to meet everybody.
Matt is the marketing guy that's behind a lot of the marketing that you see now, and also helping a lot in office responses. Also, we have Ken. Ken, come around. Ken's helping in the office now to respond to everybody and talk to everybody when I can't. So there's Ken.
Hi.
Hi, Ken.
Hello, how are you?
So this is part of the office team that you see. If you look on some of our posts, and I think we'll make sure we get a picture on the website of all of the crew behind the recent locomotive we shipped out. You can see the whole crew of what we do, the production staff and the office, and me. And it was hard to get the dogs in those pictures though, but they're in other pictures. All right, any other questions?
Just one, Jim. The backlights, are they functioning?
The backlight on yours, there is a switch where you can turn them on and off through the access hatch.
Perfect, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And we did have a question in the chat. Someone asked for if we decide to come visit, what are the hours? Do we need a plan, or can we just show up?
All right, it's always good to try to let me know if you want to come here so I can be prepared and make sure I'm here. But the plant hours are Monday through Thursday, 7 to 5:30. That's when you can see the plant in operation and see all that's going on. Fridays are generally, it's light activity here in the plant floor. It's makeup time or overtime or something special going on, but there's some office activities. But also Friday is a time where I can travel or actually take a little time off. So you're welcome to come anytime Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Fridays, we're usually here in the morning, but it's best to see. And we can make special accommodations to try to meet you if it needs to be on a weekend, if I'm available or someone else could be available. We're glad to show off what we do. All right. Any other questions before we end this Titan Talks session?
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Tomas in Texas.
Yeah.
Apologies for that darn pollen fever I got right now. But anyway, how far behind are the 2, 3, and 4 units behind this one?
Well, they're coming along. There's lots of parts made and they're coming together. I got to look exactly to see, you know, where everything stands in production. But if you were here, you would see parts going on, along with some other locomotives we got happening and a lot of train cars. So I'll give you a holler here tomorrow and update you.
All right, thank you. Congratulations on the new locomotive. People are going to really love it. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
a beautiful engine, Jim.
Well, we appreciate the good comments. We're also open to anything that you point out that we might need to change. But we have put a lot of effort into it to try to make it great for you and work well. And we appreciate you coming to visit us during the SD70ACe reveal here at Titan Talks. So you all take care. Good to see you. And we'll have another Titan Talks in the near future. We're going to try to get this going again. And we'll talk about something else that we're doing here in the plant at Titan Trains. Y'all take care. Thank you much.
You
Thank
too,
you.
Jim.
See you, Jim. Bye-bye. All the best.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.